Hello and welcome to another video. Thank you guys again for supporting the channel. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. It helps me out a ton. So let's go ahead and cover this topic already. EA, 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 EA. So when it comes to sports games in general, they are so synonymous with microtransaction loot boxes and all that good stuff that you don't want in your fucking games. I try to advocate as much as possible to let people know, like, hey, stop wasting your money on this platform or on this genre. I should have said genre instead of platform. What am I thinking? But people continue to support them and they just keep moving the goalpost and getting more and more and more egregious every single year. And what people, I don't know, I think everybody's aware that sports games come out every single year, and yet you continue to spend money in this bullshit ass fucking what is it, the MUT version or whatever the hell it is, those stupid cards that are not worth nothing, especially when the next game comes out. You still have to spend all that money again. But at the end of the day, it's your fucking money. You can do whatever the fuck you want to. If you want to spend $70 on a game and then spend an additional $100, $1,000 for absolutely no fucking reason other than you're just giving more money to the big publisher, EA, because to me, there's really no value of you spending all that money. I mean, what do you get out of it? It's not like you're spending that money and hoping to get a return for your money. It, okay, so EA says FIFA mode with loot boxes is the cornerstone of the franchise in the leaked documents. FUT is cornerstones, and we are doing everything we can to drive players there. So I know there's a lot of people that had this video, that's doing this video, and I'm covering this video now because I feel like the more people are covering this, the more people that are going to see, and hopefully people are more aware of things that are going on in these games. This game is supposed to be rated E for everyone. There's nothing rated E about it when there's gambling within the game in the system. And the same thing happens for MLB The Show. They have the same fucking system in there, and you're paying $70 for a damn game. NBA 2K, $70 for the damn game. And then when they tried to say, oh, the cost of developing these games costs more. Fuck out of here. You're making a shit ton of money on this microtransaction loot boxes in your fucking game. So I don't want to hear those excuses anymore. You're making your money back. So get the fuck out of here. But people still continue to spend all that money on all this useless features that you will never, ever see it worth it. And the new game comes out and y'all just go and do it all over again. And that's why they just keep pushing it in there, because dumbass people like you keep buying it. And if you don't buy it, I'm not talking to you. So don't get all crazy with the comments and all that good stuff. So yeah. Electronic Arts wants to push FIFA players to Ultimate Team. Fuck Ultimate Team. Which lets people spend real money in game currency to buy loot boxes with virtual athletes, according to documents obtained by CBC. Loot boxes, which typically often random collections of virtual goods with tantalizing and often very small chance of winning something that could give advantage in a game, can bring in piles of money from the studios, but under criticism for being linked to gambling. And it's true, it is linked to gambling, because you're chasing that high that you're never going to get it. Like, you're never going to get the card that you really want, so then you want to keep purchasing more and more and more and more, when the odds are fucking against you. The odds of you pulling one of those rare cards are completely small. It's like 0.001% or a lot worse than that. You can read two of these documents in CBC News and access right here, which appeared to be taken from an internal EA presentation. In one, EA says FUT is cornerstone and we're doing everything we can to drive players there. In another one section headlined, All roads lead to FUT, sees the teaser and targeted messaging will drive excitement and funnel players toward FUT and other models. And for instance, there's been also articles put out that people actually um, would sell those cards to other people for a certain amount of money, which is insane. So there is money involved, even though they say like, "Oh, it's not. No money is involved." Man, fuck that shit, man. It's all just fucking sham, dude. A separate document apparently referred to FIFA's in-game currency as grind currency, according to CBC News. The publication says that information was shared by a gaming insider. Here was response to CBC News and 54-page document. The studio says the documents are being viewed without context. An EA spokesperson declined an interview request and wouldn't comment on document, which he noted was marked privileged and confidential, other than saying it is being viewed without context. How the fuck is that viewed without context? We all know that's your bread and butter. FUT is the bread and butter of every single sports game, regardless of which one it is. I'm not too sure about hockey though. Does hockey have the same thing? Probably does. But I know the Madden NFL games have it. FIFA fucking have it. NBA 2K has it, and so does MLB The Show has it. And you're paying $70 for that game. Thank God we get it for free on Xbox, even though I haven't really played it. I'll check it out eventually. Without context, the interpretation of what it says are misinformed. When asked to clarify, he did not respond. All EA games can be played without spending on in-game items, and the majority of players do not spend child friction. But I'm sure there is a shit ton of people that will spend that money in that fucking features because they want to get ahead. They want to get, and if you don't spend the money, you're gonna be put against like players that spend a shit ton of money, and they'll just wreak havoc on you when you do decide to play the tournaments or whatever the online feature of it is. So it forces you to spend that kind of money. And according to term grind currency, an EA spokesperson told CBC News that grind currency is not a term we typically use. Yeah, so they want to make it as hard as possible for you to earn any currency in the game to purchase those cards. So you're forced to spend real actual money so you can shortcut your way ahead. I mean, multiple companies does this. Ubisoft does it with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And just even Bungie, man, everybody is doing this. And that's why I say do not support these kind of companies when it comes to that. Like, when you're charging $70 for a game, if you want to charge that much, give me the full experience. Don't give me half-baked games and games that are not ready for prime time. Like fucking Outriders, I wouldn't have spent $60 on that game. Thank God it's on Game Pass because I wouldn't have spent it because there's just so many issues with the games. We're getting all these half-cooked games instead of full games where you're spending that money. They're more likely to put out pieces of shit and then upgrade it over time. It's like they haven't learned from Cyberpunk. They're still putting out shitty ass fucking games and expect you to pay the money up front and then they'll fix it when they fix it, which is fucking bullshit. All right, we need to call these companies out. At the end of the day, like I said before, they don't give a shit about you. They only care about one thing, and that's fucking money. All right, so vote with your wallet. When you see a game you don't like or some certain things that does not gel well for you, don't fucking buy the game. Do not support these motherfuckers. Give them nothing. All right. And if you are going to buy the game, buy it used or for a very low price. So then that's just, that's a good all. We did not push people to spend in our games. Bullshit. They fucking had ads out. They actually took out an ad that was showing how to play FUT and how to add money into and the people that are most likely to fall for this trap is kids. That's why I say parents, if you're not knowledgeable of video games, you need to start paying attention to what your kids play and where they're spending their money and let them know that all those credits that they might be buying and they think it's not real currency, it is. So just be mindful of that stuff, okay? It's very dangerous. What does it say? When we provide the choice, we are very careful not to promote spendings over earnings in the game, and the majority of FIFA players never spend money in game items. And the company also said that we also firmly disagree that FIFA or any of our games involve gambling. Of course it does. It's not fucking surprise mechanics. Fuck out of here. Loot boxes have been scrutinized for the links to gambling for years, and many publishers have shifted how they sell in items in response to criticism. Epic Games removed blind draw loot boxes in Fortnite, Save the World mode in 2019, and now allows buyers to see what's inside them before purchase. Bungie removed paid loot boxes from Destiny 2 in 2020, and EA removed in-game purchases from Battlefront 2 hours before the game's release because they got so many backlash. People were so fucking upset that they decided to do a U-turn and did that. Otherwise, they would have released it with all the stuff that's in the game, which would have let people buy a special currency that could be used to purchase loot boxes. Months after Battlefront 2 controversy, EA's former chief design Patrick Stutterlud vowed that EA would learn from mistakes and be better. Obviously, they haven't learned a goddamn thing. They're still trying to circumvent their way and try to trick everybody. But if you have some sense, if you have some fucking sense, don't play FUT. If you want to play FIFA, go ahead and play FIFA. Just don't play FUT. It's just it's a trap. FIFA loot boxes and FUT have been valuable enough to EA that the studio will continue to push players toward the mode. Like, hold on, let me just pull up a quick statistics. I'll be right back. Okay, so on the same video, I just had to go back and stop on whatever, but I was talking about the profit margins, and this is how much money EA has made over the years. 2015, 587 million, and that's just from FUT only. You know what I mean? Like those stupid cards. And as you can see over the years, they have made more and more money, and people are just not learning their lessons. You don't need to spend your money on Ultimate Team, but because every single year they have a brand new game and you have to spend all that money over and over again. It's not like you get to carry on your progression. You don't. So I don't know why people keep spending their fucking money. And just to show you how much EA pushes this stuff, if you go to PlayStation's website, you can just go to PlayStation website now, and this is what they're promoting for you to buy more FIFA points, so you can buy more FUT Ultimate Team cards or whatever. This is on PlayStation's website. Like if you go to PlayStation right now, these are the top 5 things that they're promoting or pushing. They're pushing Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Noir, Replicant Season 3 of Cold War or Call of Duty, Warzone, whatever, and then you have FIFA. New season of FIFA. And they want you, as soon as you click it, it brings you to if you click on find out more, it brings you straight to buying it. So EA has been going ham on these promotions, and at the end of the day, it's your freaking money. You work hard for it. You can spend it whichever way you decide to spend it. But because you tend to spend your money a certain way, it also affect everybody. You know, not just yourself. I mean, you may be having a good time spending all your money on FUT, and it can get pretty addictive. There's actually, in other countries, there's laws that's trying to prevent people from partaking into FUT because it classifies as gambling, because you don't know what you're going to get, and you're always looking for that chase, and you're always trying to get the best of the best of the best. So you might be spending a shit ton of money. There's people that spend a ton of money and lost their savings because of this shit. There's kids that spend their families or parents' freaking saving from purchasing these Ultimate Team bullshit because they didn't know what they were doing, because the currency, they switched it up so it's not really money per se, it's points or whatever system they want to implement. You know, same thing with the casinos. When you're playing slot machines, it turns your $100 bills into credits. You know, it's all just mental. Just like when you go to the play, just when you go play blackjack, baccarat, or any kind of those table games, Texas Hold'em, whatever, they take your $100 bill and then they give you chips. Therefore, they devalue of what that money actually means, so you don't know that you're spending as much. You don't know anything until you actually leave the damn casino. Then everything sets in, reality sets in. Same thing here. Like, you don't know how much you're really spending until you look at your credit card statement and you'll be like, holy fuck, I spent that much money on that shit. But anyway, enough of me rambling on. Like I said before, it's your fucking money. You can do whatever you do with whatever you want to do with it. But I'm just trying to let you know, like, stop partaking into this um FUT bullshit and just stop it. Stop! Because it affects all of us at the end of the day. The more you spend, the more they're going to be pushing these things, and the more worse games we're going to get. We don't even get quality games anymore. All it is just a bunch of crap, especially from these companies. Um, Madden, fucking FIFA, NBA 2K, MLB The Show. They all have this microtransaction, and it's insane that they want to ask $70 for their fucking game, and yet they want to keep pushing this narrative like the games are more expensive to make. We're not making our games, blah blah blah. Just a whole bunch of baloney. That's why, like, for me, I don't buy my games brand new anymore unless it's on sale because of this shit, because I don't think the value is there anymore. Or they give you half-baked games and they want you to pay full price. Oh, we'll fix it later. Pay now, pay now. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I appreciate every single one of you guys for supporting me. The channel's doing good. Yeah, and I really, really appreciate it. You guys have yourself a very lovely day, okay? I'm out.